Hey everybody, this is Alex here and I'm joined by Richie and we're going to have a little chat today about living in Vietnam. Nice to have you today. So do you want to just introduce yourself briefly?
You bet. Thank you very much, everybody. My name is Richie. I'm living in Da Nang now for a little bit over a year. Vietnam is such an awesome place. If you are traveling, working online is an excellent idea.
So let's start off with that, living in Vietnam. How do you like it? What would you say is your top 1 to 2 things that you like about living out here in Vietnam or Da Nang specifically?
Okay, so living in Vietnam generally, one of the real unique things that I like about this place, it is safe. It's really safe. When you've traveled well across the globe, you know, you've been in a lot of hairy situations too. This place is incredibly safe. Where are the police? I don't see them. Because they're not needed. That's why. You barely find a policeman around here. It's extremely safe for people traveling alone, and this country is just beautiful. It's the easy life. I can't say just 1 or 2 things. It's an easy life. It's a life of shorts and t-shirts. It's a life of perpetual sun that's very comfortable and balmy. There's no desert dry heat, 50 degrees. Doesn't happen here. At the same time, you don't have that extreme humidity like in Thailand. It's a very, very comfortable place to live. The easy life, and you can live really well here, even like a king, for just a couple of $1,000s a month.
I would say that would be a big one for me too, is cost of living is low. So if you're making money online or if you're working here, you get paid quite well as an English teacher. The working hours too are quite good. If you teach in person in Vietnam, it can be about 30 hours per week, which is not bad at all. And that's what I would say I like about Vietnam probably the most, is you can live any kind of lifestyle you want in Vietnam. You can live here in Da Nang and have that beach lifestyle. You can live in the big cities where there is a lot of work as well. You have all that extra time. There's pretty much everything that you could want and need you can find in Vietnam as well. Travel, living, you know, coming to cool cafes like this, restaurants, food.
Yeah, and when people think about Vietnam, don't think deep jungles, huts, and you know, the Vietnamese hats and everything, which are actually quite functional. No, you got to think of Wi-Fi, infrastructure, development. This place develops like mad. They're constantly building something, hotels, resorts, cafes, restaurants. It's constantly building. It's very, very busy. Wi-Fi you can find everywhere. And just a little tip, I pay $4 a month for 4 gigabytes every single day of mobile data. Back home, that's £30 a month for 2 gigabytes of data.
Yeah, the data packages are actually really good,
They
and there's
are
4G
awesome,
all around
and
here.
it really makes a difference to your life.
It's funny you mentioned the hats because
Yeah.
I'd actually never owned one, and yesterday or 2 days ago one of my Vietnamese friends gave me one. People actually wear them here because they're useful, you know.
They're functional, yeah. They are.
What would you say are some of the biggest challenges of living here?
Initially, it is how different things are. When you just start living abroad, if you, for example, came from living in England, like I did, for example, if you just make that initial jump, and if you do it alone, it can be a little bit daunting. This place is very beautiful, but you need to find your place here. And so I would really recommend, if you do decide to make that jump and you're coming across, especially for the first time, try and get in with a group of people. If you can find a way to do that, even just people online, via Facebook, social groups, you can find them absolutely everywhere. If you can find some even loose social circle to be a part of, that would really make the transition much smoother, because the culture shock is there, regardless of anywhere you go to, but it does exist here too.
And I think the language barrier is actually something that's not the hardest thing.
No, not at all.
A lot of people speak English. It's easy to use Google Translate. The actual writing is readable or typable even if you don't speak Vietnamese, unlike Chinese characters or Japanese characters. Yeah, so it's not actually that hard to just get around and do things. And I totally agree with you, having a social circle, meeting people. It's not necessarily hard. In fact, it's actually a lot easier, especially meeting other expats. Everyone's in the same position, especially when people first arrive. So everyone's quite welcoming. And of course, the Vietnamese people are so welcoming and friendly and helpful. But I think that's probably the biggest thing, is support and having that community, building that up. And you got to put yourself out there a little bit in the beginning. I mean, that's a big part of life. You know, I just had a few friends, some of my good friends leaving Vietnam recently, and that sucked. You know, I had to make new friends, which is always fun, but can be difficult to make those good, close friendships. So I would definitely agree with you there, focus on that stuff.
Another challenge, I have to say, it's actually understanding and learning how easy things actually are. For example, to rent an apartment. If you want to rent an apartment, you can organize that within hours, literally, with just a suitcase to being inside your apartment with the keys and go and live. That's something which is incredibly easy, a little bit too easy. If you made a Facebook post, for example, I'm looking for an apartment, you would be flooded from every single angle, and that is quite daunting. And so, additionally, if you had some kind of social circle, even very lightly connected there, they would be able to help out in these areas. Buying a bike, for example, you don't actually need all of the correct licenses and documents. You can pretty much just get one and go. And so that's a little bit exotic for us as well.
I'd say probably a big challenge I see people facing is that they struggle with how unorganized or maybe unstructured certain things could be.
Yeah.
For example, driving in Vietnam, you have to relearn how to drive basically, because it's not, hey, if someone is taking a left turn, you wait for them to turn. It's like, no, you kind of dodge out the way. Or
Like in Star Wars, use the Force.
Yeah.
When you're riding, use the Force at all times. It's all instinctual. You know, it's being that part of the collective, like synchronized fish. It somehow works.
yeah,
And no one's speaking.
right.
And from the outside, it looks massively chaotic. If we just stood on the side of the street and filmed like, rush hour traffic, it looks very daunting. But once you're in it, everything seems to flow.
I know you live out in Sontra, which is nice, near the beach. How's your apartment set up and your kind of day-to-day life around that?
In order to answer this question, I'd like to say something else first. One of the particularly unique things about this city that I absolutely love is the duality of this city. Now, most beach towns, as I call them, the beach is the town. That's not that way here. The beach is absolutely fantastic. There is a huge long embankment that goes all the way across the city. But if you go deeper into the city, kind of where we are and further beyond, that is where things really start to come alive. You have the nightlife, you have the restaurants, there's so much to do there. That's different from most other cities where everything is kind of gravitates towards the beach, and that's where all the activity is. You go 3 lines and you're into, let's say, no man's land that doesn't exist here. That presents awesome opportunities for apartments as well, because
Yes.
you can get amazing views. I live 100 meters from the beach. I have an awesome view, but you can find excellent places in the city which would be closer to, the nightlife. It wouldn't have the beach view, but pluses and minuses everywhere. You can rent an apartment incredibly cheap here. I would recommend investing that extra $100, which would make all the difference in the world. I'm renting a 100 square meter apartment. It has 2 rooms. It's fully furnished in a very modern European way. Tile floors, really nice beds. We have the maids come to change twice a week. Very good service, security. It's only 5 floors. And on the roof, we have our own private pool, which is serviced, it's
Nice.
maintenance, with an awesome view. One side of the city, and on the other side, the sea. It's absolutely fantastic. And there's a sauna too, by the way. There's a sauna.
Nice.
And if you've got that, and this is just for like an extra $100 a month, I'm renting for 7 million Vietnam dong.
Yeah.
In dollars, that must be
It's like 300.
it's like $300. Now you could rent somewhere for $200, and that would be very nice. But for that extra 100, you go from living well to living like a king.
Yeah, it's actually amazing. I've got a similar situation. Rooftop pool near the beach, and it's about 6 mil just for a studio. So actually, one of the interesting things in Vietnam is like it's normally 2 bedrooms or studios, which
Yep.
is like an open plan, one bedroom, but like a open space. there's not that many one bedrooms.
Yeah.
So normally you'd go for one of those, either studio or 2-bedroom. But I've got a little studio, super happy with it, and yeah, right near the beach as well. It's great.
Right near the beach.
Okay, so we're going to finish off this video here, and we're going to talk about in the next video teaching English online, so stay tuned for that. And if you haven't checked out Richie's channel, definitely go check it out. Do you want to just tell them briefly what it's about and how they can find you?
Yeah, you bet. My name is Richie. I am the Global Teacher. That's global outreach with local knowledge. What we do is we work everywhere. Absolutely everywhere. We can contact everybody all the time. India, South Korea, New York. We're teaching everywhere using local knowledge. I live locally, I act locally, and that's what this channel is all about. It's giving you those inside hacks, the knowledge of how you can help to make yourself more competitive in the market right now.
Perfect. So definitely go check out Richie's channel. We'll be doing an interview on Richie's channel as well, where he interviews me about TEFL courses and best way to get started teaching and living abroad. And yep, stay tuned for the next video about teaching English online specifically, and I'll speak to you then. Peace.
Peace.